Philippine Normal University's Faculty of Education Sciences through Center for Reading and Literacy presents Usapang Literasi, Development and Production of Learning Resources. I am Eliza Marcoso.
And I am Johan Uy, and will be your facilitators and moderators for this event.
For today's episode, the last but definitely not the least of this webinar series, we will be focusing on the topic of remedial reading. Let us once again be filled with learnings as we listen closely to our speakers today.
Professor Mark Gleen O earned his bachelor's degree in elementary education cum laude from the Philippine Normal University in 2007. He ranked second place in the licensure examination for teachers in the same year. In 2019, he finished his Master of Arts in Education major in Reading Education at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. And he earned his certificate in teaching English to speakers of other languages from the American TESOL Institute Incorporation. Currently, he is taking Doctor of Education in Curriculum and Teaching at Miriam College. He served as a reading coordinator at Notre Dame of Greater Manila, after which he became a full-time college instructor at Our Lady of Fatima University, Valenzuela campus, teaching subjects such as communication, grammar, literature, and developmental reading courses for both local and foreign students. He taught English at LaSalle Green Hills, where he handled its speech and debate club, and The Greenery, its official literary magazine, which won the 37th Catholic Mass Media Awards as Best Student Literary Publication. In 2017 and 2019, he was humbled to receive the Model Teacher Award in the same institution. Currently, he teaches professional education courses at Philippine Normal University Manila Faculty of Education Sciences as a part-time faculty. Moreover, he has written textbooks in English and in creative writing for kinder, grade school, junior high school, and senior high school students. As an educator, he enjoys giving seminars on effective teaching strategies across subject areas, teaching and learning in the 21st century, progressive approaches to education, classroom management strategies, and effective oral and written communications, and conducting intensive review sessions on professional education courses for the licensure examination for teachers. For our first talk this morning on strategies in improving struggling readers' reading fluency and comprehension, let us all welcome Professor Mark Gleen O.
Thank you so much, Teacher Johan. Good morning, everyone. To all our participants who are present this morning, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. To all reading teachers, literacy experts, and literacy advocates who are with us this morning, muli po magandang umaga. It's such an honor to be here and to present to you a topic that is very, very close to my heart. By the way, I'm Teacher Sid. You can call me and address me as Teacher Sid. And I hope you're all doing well this morning. Nakapag-almusal na po ba kayo? If you're still eating at this point in time, wala pong problema for as long as hindi niyo po kami iiwan, okay? And I do hope you're comfortably seated kung saan man pong part kayo ng inyong mga tahanan naroroon. And I also hope na meron kayong strong internet connection so you can participate throughout the activity. But most importantly, I do hope you are all in love. Normally, whenever I ask this kapag face-to-face seminars, I normally ask my participants to look at each other and to see kung mukha bang in love yung mga kasama nila. But I know for a fact na in love kayong lahat, not only to your respective partners or loved ones, but most importantly, sa ating mission, no? Sa pagtuturo ng pagbasa sa mga bata. That's the reason why you are here despite despite the fact, my apologies, that it's Saturday morning, sobrang precious ng Saturday morning sa ating mga guro, but still, you are with me in such an honor to be part of Usapang Literasi. And to begin with, I need to roll out some rules for our session this morning. I have 4 P's for you, our dear participants. Are you familiar with 4 P's, teachers? Siguro, iniisip ninyo, ito ba, Teacher Mark, yung tinatawag na Pantawid Pamilyang Filipino program? Tama naman po kayo, but for the purpose of our webinar this morning, our 4 P's would be different because the first P is for pay attention. Yes, it stands for pay attention. Of course, we need to listen to each other as we speak, as I present also some important ideas with you. I hope you are with us. And for our second P, ano kaya yung second P natin, teachers? Yes, participate because I do prepared some activities for you and sana po mag-participate tayo actively even though I can't see you and we can't see each other face to face. So those are the 2 P's for our house rules. And the third one, which is of course another important P for this morning is ponder. Ano pong pumapasok sa isipan ninyo whenever you see the word ponder? Especially to our reading teachers and English teachers, maybe you're thinking of words such as reflect or reflection or introspection. Tama po kayo. Because the most important thing, sabi nga ni John Dewey, no, is reflection sa lahat ng mga experiences at sa lahat ng mga bagay na nararanasan natin or na-encounter natin. As I present things to you, I hope you are going to reflect also of your respective context kung applicable ba yung mga strategies or yung techniques or yung approaches na i-share ko sa inyo this morning. And lastly, teachers, we have for our last P is siguro pakibasa nyo nga po on your own. Binasa nyo po ba siya as pantay-pantay? Because it's the only Filipino word among these words, no? Pero tama po kayo, that's pantay-pantay. I want you to consider yourself, no? We are all equal in this webinar, in this particular session, because each one of you do have your expertise, no? Especially sa grade level na tinuturo ninyo. And I want you to make use of that as we discuss things later on during our open forum. And with that, the 4 P's for this session would be pay attention first and then participate. I hope and I'm hoping na magpa-participate kayo later in our activities. Ponder, that's the third P. And lastly, pantay-pantay or pantay-pantay. And with that, simulan natin ang ating activity with an attendance check. Okay lang po ba sa ating 27, I think 26 participants, I'm the 27. So for us to see kung ready na ba kayo, our dear teachers and school administrators, may I ask you to kindly give us or show us virtual thumbs up or heart or any emoticon that you can click. Tingnan nga po natin. Ayan, thank you so much for clicking your emoticon, but it will not end there, okay? Our check-in or attendance check will not end there because I want you, teachers, to answer this simple question. Ito yung ating attendance check for our session this morning. Ang tanong po, very simple, sino po ang paborito nyong local newscaster or reporter? Once again, it can be sa napapanood nyo on television or sa radio. But I'd like you to answer this question by going to, I'd like to encourage you and I'd like to invite our participants to kindly go to www.menti.com and kindly make use of the codes 18788504. Once again, I'd like to invite our dear participants to kindly go to www.menti.com and make use of the code 18788504 and kindly share with us sino po ang paborito nyong local newscaster or reporter or broadcaster. Ito man ay sa radyo or sa telebisyon. And I'm excited to see your responses. If you cannot join the Menti, if you cannot connect to Menti due to your bandwidth, you can just type in your response, teachers or dear participants, in the chat box. So I'm excited to see your responses. Let me go to Menti so that we can see your responses. Okay. Wait for a moment. Allow me to share my Menti. Okay, here. Wow, we have 2 participants already who typed in their responses at ang nangunguna, no? si Miss Jessica Soho. Puro kababaihan na. Cara David. Okay, 2 beses kong nakita si Miss Cara David. Vicky Morales, parang, now we have Miss Karen Davila. Oh, there's one now, a male broadcaster, Ted Filon. Pero parang in this word cloud, as you can see, yung pinakamalaking word at the center, yun yung mostly sagot ng mga participants. So si Miss Cara David. Okay, I'm also waiting for others to respond. Okay, so we have, I think now it's Jessica Soho. Talagang sikat na sikat, no? Cara David, Jessica Soho. Mukhang familiar tayo, no? Siguro ako nung bata ako, isa sa mga iniidolo ko that time, no? Si Kabayang Noli de Castro. That's one of the news broadcasters sa talagang kilalang kilala din at that time. But wow, thank you so much for responding and for typing in your answers. Tingnan natin sa chat box. I think there are teachers. Ayan, sabi ni Teacher Jennifer, si Pinky Web. Okay. Thank you. Teach, we have from Miss Winnie Calago, sabi niya Jessica Soho. Then same with Teacher Melissa, Teacher Ines, Teacher LV, and Teacher Andy. Sabi naman ni Teacher Denard, sabi niya si Sir Howie Severino. Wow, yes. And Sir Miss Marisa Duyog, good morning po. Jessica Soho din po. Parang sikat na sikat talaga si Miss Jessica Soho, no? An award-winning journalist and broadcaster. So maraming salamat for responding to our attendance check activity. And maybe at this point, you were thinking, or you were wondering maybe, why am I asking this with you? Okay, I do believe that you have your own reasons or, your personal perspectives why you are choosing these people, no, or these broadcasters or reporter. But what I want you to have, teachers, the best qualities that they have whenever they present, whenever they speak, no, whenever they deliver reports or news to us. Gusto ko gamitin nyo yung mga positive aspects and characteristics nila with our next activity. And later on, we'll see some connections and we'll establish some connections, no? So our next activity, aside from asking you kung sino inyong paborito, dahil meron kayong mga paboritong newscaster at reporter, gusto ko isuot nyo yung inyong mga reporter or newscaster hats, no? Kung ano yung gusto nyong qualities nila in the next activity that we are going to have. And that is this Do It With Me challenge. I know you are familiar. Some of you are familiar with this challenge sa TikTok, no? Panoorin lang natin saglit and then I'll give more instructions later on. So, here, wait.
24 oras reporter. Do It is challenge ng magkaalaman na.
Narito na ang mga balitang dapat abangan sa 24 oras. Ngayong unang araw ng panibagong school year, kamusta kaya ang mga estudyante at guro? Mga patakaran sa ipapatupad na community quarantine at granular lockdown, tutukan. At ang nag-viral at nakakaantig na sulat na natanggap ng isang rider mula sa batang regular niyang customer. Abangan yan sa 24 oras.
Ayos! 6:30 na. Nakatuto ka na ba?
Itong araw yun, no? Sa mga kabataan ngayon, sa mga young teachers natin, posible din maging isang idolo, no? But what I'd like you to do, teachers, is to do exactly what the lady did, no? I want you to read the news on the teleprompter with your best, no, to the best of your ability. So I'm asking now for at least 2 or 3 volunteers from our 27 participants to take on the challenge. No, sino kaya ang gustong mag-volunteer to take this challenge again? Do With Me challenge. Kindly unmute your mic and introduce yourself if you want to take part in this particular activity. Any volunteer, any brave soul sa ating mga literacy experts, advocates, and reading teachers present today. Sino po yung gustong subukan ang challenge na ito? Babasahin nyo lang po to the best of your ability like a reporter, yung mga iniidolo nyong newscaster kanina na you made mention of, Ma'am Jessica So, Karen Davila, Ted Filon, in this particular activity. Any volunteer from our participants? Meron po ba? Anyone? Kindly unmute your microphone and introduce yourself and then let's do the challenge. By the way, dun sa mga magvo-volunteer, I need 2 or 3 volunteers, no? Okay, mag-alala because I'm going to give you your early Christmas gift, no? Parang prize ninyo for joining. I will be sending you or I'll be giving you storybooks for children kapag nag-take kayo ng challenge na ito. Any 2 or 3 volunteers from our dear participants? Kindly unmute your mic and introduce yourself. Meron po ba?
Blessed morning, sir.
Hi, thank you, Ma'am Jennifer. Hi, good morning. Thank you for volunteering. Yes, ma'am. Are you ready po? Can
Sige.
you introduce yourself, ma'am?
I'm Miss Jennifer Gatwanton po from University of the Assumption, City of San Fernando, Pampanga.
Ah, you're from Pampanga pa, Ma'am Jen. So thank you so
Yes
much.
po.
Are you ready po for...
Sige po, let's try, sir.
Sige, try natin. Wait lang.
24 oras challenge. Kaya mo bang maging 24 oras reporter? Do it is challenge ng magkaalaman na.
Ready? Whenever you're ready.
Ngayong unang araw ng panibagong school year, kumusta kaya ang mga estudyante at guro? Mga patakaran sa ipapatupad na community quarantine at granular lockdown, tutukan at ang nag-viral at nakakaantig na sulat na tantanggap ng isang rider mula sa batang regular niyang customer. Abangan yan sa 24 oras.
Wow! Thank you so much. Can we give Ma'am Jen virtual
Thank you, sir.
clap? Maraming salamat, Teacher Jen.
Thank you
And
po.
kindly message me privately sa mailing address mo so I can send you a copy of one of these storybooks for children. Okay?
Wow, thank you, sir. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat. Just message me, okay? Grabe naman, hindi nagpatalo from Pampanga. Tama ba? From Pampanga?
University of the Assumption, Pampanga po.
University of the Assumption.
Opo.
Maraming salamat. Any
Andyan
other?
po.
Yes, ma'am.
Pa-shoutout sa mga kasama kong teacher, sir. Nandito po sila. Si
Sige, ma'am.
teacher. Okay lang ba? Si
Sige, ma'am.
teacher Ines, teacher Kat, teacher Winnie po. Sino pa ba? Ayan, sila po, sir. From University of the Assumption, Pampanga po.
Ang dami niyong dalang teachers.
Yes, opo.
That's
Thank
so
you po,
nice.
sir.
That's nice to hear. Salamat, Ma'am Jen, Teacher Jen. Any other volunteer? Can we have one more or 2 more? Sinong gustong mag-take ng challenge na ito? Napakagaling, no? From Pampanga, si Ma'am Jen. Meron pa po bang gustong mag-volunteer? Or, and wag po kayong mahiya. Just take the challenge and you're just going to read, from any other volunteers from the group? Meron bang gustong sumali? Or mag-volunteer? Mukhang nahihiya na sila. But it's okay. If you're not yet ready, baka later, no? But I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Teacher Jen for bravely taking the challenge. And maybe at this point in time, teacher said, why are you asking us to do something like this? What is the relationship of this activity to the core of our presentation? Well, ano pong nanotice nyo kay Teacher Jen habang binabasa niya yung teleprompter? At ano rin po yung napansin ninyo with this lady sa TikTok? Anyone from the group? Or you can type in your responses. Ano po yung napansin nyo sa kanila habang binabasa nila yung mga salita, yung mga sentences sa teleprompter? Anyone from our participants? Ano po yung napansin ninyo? May napansin po ba kayo? You can freely unmute your microphone and introduce yourself. Ano po yung mga nakita ninyo or napansin ninyo habang sila ay nagsasalita or habang binabasa nila yung mga salita sa teleprompter? Siguro mag-ask tayo ng isang volunteer. What about, can I call Teacher Lani? Teacher Lani, anong napansin mo sa pagbasa ni Teacher Jen at sa pagbasa ni Mafe?
Okay, good morning po. I'm Lani from SDO Pasig po.
Hi, Ma'am Lani. Good morning.
Good
Yes,
morning.
ma'am. Ano pong napansin ninyo, Lani?
Napansin ko po na very confident po sila magsalita, very confident. Alam nila yung sasabihin po nila. Kahit binabasa, as if alam na alam po nila yung binabasa po nila, sinasabi po nila.
Yeah, gusto ko yung sinabi mo, no, Teach. Sabi mo, Teacher, Teach, na kitang-kita mo yung confidence level, no? Na parang akala mo they have memorized or they really know what they are saying, pero binabasa lang namang nila ito sa teleprompter. That's correct. How about, thank you so much, Teach. What about the rest? Yeah, thank you so much, Teach, for sharing what you noticed. What about others? How about Teacher Shara? Ikaw, Teacher Shara, anong napansin mo?
Hello po.
Hi, Teacher Shara. Can you introduce yourself, Teacher Shara, to the group?
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Ma'am Shara Turingan, passing scholar po. Dr. Reynald asked us to attend to this webinar po. And I believe that this will help us a lot po.
Okay, thank you and welcome to our session. Kayo po, Ma'am Teacher Shara, anong napansin ninyo dun sa video and the way Teacher Jen read the teleprompter?
Actually po kasi sa TikTok nakakita rin ako ng mga ganyan. So, aside from watching them as a newscaster po, they have this confidence, and then even though na nagkakaroon sila ng mga mistake po, just go on lang po sila sa pag-read nila dun sa prompter po. I think that's the one that we have to develop as teachers po, that we should not pause for a long time if ever magkakaroon tayo ng mga mistake po as we go on with our discussion with our students. Kasi po, as ito ma-obvious siya, parang masisira na po yung momentum ng discussion mo. Although sometimes we can avoid to make mistakes in speaking po. So yun lang po.
Okay, thank you so much, Teacher Shara. Can we give Teacher Shara virtual clap? Sabi niya she also noticed the level of confidence, no? But I'd like your sharing, Teacher Shara, by saying na in the classroom as we teach, there are also instances and times when we experience mga unexpected mga difficulties or challenges, but like what you said, itong mga broadcasters na ito, itong mga newscasters na ito, kapag nagkakamali sila, they would always show the audience and the people watching them that the show must really go on kahit nauutal sila or nagkakamali sila. So I like that perspective from you. Thank you so much, Teacher Shara. What about anyone from our gentlemen, no? Sino kayang pwede nating i-volunteer? What about you, Teacher Andy? Anong masasabi mo? Anything that you have noticed? Andyan ka ba, Teacher Andy? I think baka hindi ako naririnig or baka may problem sa connection si Teacher Andy. What about Teacher Angelito? Ikaw yung kasunod na gentle man ni Teacher Andy. Anything that you'd like to share based sa nakita mo, Teacher Angelito? Okay, baka nag-iisip pa siguro ng answer si Teacher Angelito. But I can see things sa ating chat box. Maybe I can read them. Sabi ni Teacher um, Marisa Duyog, sabi niya may energy po. Okay? Sabi ni Teacher Ines, malinaw at malakas po ang boses. Ayan. Sabi naman ni Teacher Irene, suited po with the context of reporting. Sabi naman ni Teacher Eliza, with good diction and intonation po. Sabi naman ni Teacher Melissa, very spontaneous. Ito pala, meron tayong gentleman from the group. Sabi ni Teacher Denard, since the time to read is short and the prompter was perhaps very small, they attuned themselves to the demand of reading, deliver the lines as how it is expected to be delivered. No? Ang ganda nung na-notice mo, Teacher Denard. And since there, sabi naman ni Teacher Jen, ayan, thank you po for the comments and suggestion. Tama ka, no, Teacher Denard. Sobrang liit, sobrang ikse, and meron pang time na mawawala siya, no? Mawawala bigla. So kailangan you have to deliver it properly. And thank you so much for sharing your responses. Nakita ninyo, ginagawa ng mga newscasters, even Teacher Jen kanina for taking on the challenge to really read all the words, all the sentences, all the statements dun sa teleprompter correctly. And they did their best to expressively deliver, no, kung ano yung binabasa nila. And that's exactly also what we want our readers to be, right? If we are going to connect this with reading, of course, we are exposing our children, our learners with different texts, with different selections. And we want, whenever we ask them to read orally, gusto rin natin ganun yung confidence level nila, yung motivation nila, and the way they read it. Okay? However, we also have to take note of the fact na hindi lahat ng readers ay ganun. Okay? May mga bata na when you ask them to read something like in the teleprompter, baka hindi nila mabasa yung mga salita o yung mga pangungusap na ipapakita mo sa kanila. Pwedeng nababasa nila ito, pero nauutal sila. Pwedeng nababasa nila ito, pero hindi nila naiintindihan kung ano ang binabasa nila. And these scenarios, as reading teachers, as reading advocates, mahalaga itong pag-usapan at alamin kung paano natin matutulungan yung mga batang nararanasan yung ganong pagbasa. And with that, I would like to welcome you all to the very core of my presentation, which is entitled Improving Readers' Fluency and Comprehension. Now, this topic is very, very close to my heart because I really invested my time during my graduate study days sa university, no, reading about fluency and comprehension. And allow me to share with you kung ano man yung mga experiences na nakuha ko in exploring this topic. Particularly, the readers that I'm referring to here are the struggling readers, no? So how can we improve and how can we develop their fluency and at the same time their comprehension through various activities? And so let me begin formally, no, my presentation. Thank you so much for actively participating in all those activities. Allow me to share with you this strong statement from a very famous and I really admire this reading advocate, Mr. Rasinski, in 2017. And he said that there are too many students at all ages who continue to struggle in becoming proficient readers. And for many, a lack of strong reading foundation is the cause. I would like to underscore that once again, teachers and dear participants. The reason behind the struggle of most of our readers across all ages would be a lack of strong reading foundation. And when we speak and when we talk of strong reading foundation, according to Rasinski, he would be referring to two important aspects. First is word identification. As we all know, word identification or simply word recognition, being able to sound out, to read orally the written expressions that the students are encountering. So even their word decoding, no, ay nakapaloob dito sa word identification. And that's very important. That's very foundational in terms of their reading performance. On the other hand, according to Rasinski, fluency is a bit complicated because it is composed of a lot of factors, okay? And I'd like to contextualize that this morning with you. When we speak of fluency to those who are encountering it for the very first time, it is generally defined by these people. First, the National Reading Panel in 2000, Hudson, Lane, and Pullen in 2005, same authors with Torgisen in 2009 and Shanahan in 2012. They generally define fluency as the ability, for readers to read text with accuracy, with automaticity, and with prosody. So to those who are encountering these concepts for the very first time, let me contextualize them further. When we speak of accuracy, according to Young and Rasinski in 2009, this is the ability of a reader to recognize or decode words correctly and know their meaning at the same time. So from the word accurate, kailangan nababasa ng mga bata, ng mga estudyante, ng tama, correctly, yung mga words na kanilang nakikita from selections and texts that we are asking them to read. And that's according also to Rasinski. That's one of the components of fluency. And how do we determine as teachers the level of accuracy of our students? There are actually a lot of tools out there, and some of them are as follows. We have the Gray Oral Reading Test, or GORT, Analytic Reading Inventory, or ARI, the Qualitative Reading Inventory, or QRI, and the most famous one, which I'm pretty sure most of you are using, is the Philippine Informal Reading Inventory, or PhilIRI. What is common among these tools? Of course, they do contain leveled passages, or passages or text na naka level sa comprehension ng mga bata for each grade. Okay? Pero if we are focusing on accuracy, what do we look into whenever we ask our students to read all these or to perform, whenever they perform in these tools? We're looking for miscues. So when we speak of miscues, ito yung mga words na maaring hindi nila nabasa ng tama, or yung mga words na na-skip nila, or na mispronounce nila, or sinelf-correct nila, or minsan napapagbaliktad nila. So these are the miscues that you are also looking for kapag pinapabasa niyo yung mga bata using PhilIRI. Okay. Another component, teachers, before I proceed to the next component. So once you have identified their miscues, of course, we need to interpret them, okay, using certain parameters. And for that, we make use of this levels of performance for word accuracy. Those students who would get 97 to 100% correctly all the words would be categorized in the independent level, with 90 to 96 performance would be in instructional level, and those who will get 89% below would be under frustration level. So we need also to categorize them, and I know you're also doing this. The second component of fluency is automaticity. According to Airy and McCormick in 1998, it pertains to quick and effortless identification of words in text. Okay? So this time, meron ng concept of speed and effortlessness. And how are we going to determine automaticity among our students or among our readers? Same thing, we make use of certain tools such as this. So kung kanina sa accuracy, we looked for miscues, yung mga maling hindi nila nababasa, na may mispronounce nila, na skip nila. This time for automaticity, since we're talking of speed and rate, we will be looking, or you are looking at the total number of words that are being read or that was read in a minute. Okay? So yun naman yung focus ng automaticity. And according to Hasbrook and Tyndall in 2005, there's this what we call the oral reading fluency target rate norms at the end of the year. So for each grade level, there are expected oral reading rate per minute. For instance, for grade 1, they are expected to be reading at least 53 words per minute. So kung yung mga bata or yung estudyante natin is only reading 10 words per minute, medyo alarming na siya. And that would give you the parameter and would give you the perspective na I think there's something that I need to work on, or this particular reader helps needs an intervention. Okay, so from grade 1 to grade 8. And the last component of fluency, our dear participants, is prosody. Okay, this one, according to Miller and Schwann and Flugel in 2008, is the ability to read with appropriate expression, volume, phrasing, smoothness, and pacing. And you can also make use of all the tools that I mentioned earlier in identifying the level of prosody of your students. However, kung sa accuracy, we look for miscues. Kung sa automaticity, we look for the total number of words read in a minute. For prosody, we are using a different tool. We make use of the multidimensional fluency scale, or the MDFS. How does MDFS look like? This one is created and developed by Zutel and Rasinski in 1991. So as you can see, there are 4 major aspects that we need to look into as we listen how students are reading. First is their expression, phrasing, smoothness, and pace, which are in congruence with the definition given by Miller and Schwann and Flugel. So the highest score that students can get and we can give the readers would be 4. For expression, if the reader consistently sounds like they are talking to a friend, with expression matching the interpretation of the passage, then they can get 4. Under phrasing, if the reader reads with very good phrasing and adheres well to punctuation. So na-chunk ba nila appropriately yung mga words in sentences? Okay? Words are appropriately chunked to encourage meaning. Okay? Kasi naaapektuhan yung pag-intindi nila nung kanilang binabasa, the way they chunk or the way they group words in sentences or in passages. Under smoothness, when readers proceed through the text with a rhythm that is pleasant to listen to and rarely needs to self-correct specific words or phrases. And lastly, for pacing, when the reader maintains a conversational pace. So it has to be conversational throughout the reading and very pleasant also to listen to. So these are the aspects that we look into when we are talking of prosody using the multidimensional fluency scale. Okay, so generally, our dear participants, fluency, once again, is the ability to read text with accuracy, automaticity, and prosody. In fact, according to Pikulski and Chard in 2005, fluency serves as a critical bridge. Okay? Wow. Strong statement, right? Why? Because when students are able to identify words, with so much automaticity and correctly, they can really understand what they are reading. So it's a critical bridge. Fluency is a critical bridge between word identification and comprehension. Kasi minention nga ni Teacher Sid kanina, ano yung mga components ng fluency, accuracy and automaticity. Okay? Which would connect to word identification. If the students can identify words correctly and as fast as they can, yung sinasabing limited cognitive resources or attentional resources ni Samuels. Yun kasi yung contention niya, teachers, na ang mga readers, they only have this limited cognitive resources or attentional resources. So, kapag naubos yung attentional resources na yun or yung energy na yun sa pag-identify pa lang ng mga words, mas nawawala at nababawasan yung resources na yun for them to be able to understand what they are reading. So if they can already identify words automatically, hindi lang tama, pero may bilis because limited lang yung resources, then it can actually lead them and connect them to understanding the text. On the other hand, prosody, how does it connect fluency to comprehension, because the way the students phrase words, no, the way they read it with expression, it would help them, it would aid them in understanding what they are reading. That's why fluency serves as a critical bridge, and there are a lot of studies claiming the relationship of fluency and comprehension. Hudson, Lane, and Pulet in 2005 even stated that each aspect of fluency has a clear connection to text comprehension. Without accurate word reading, the reader will have no access to author's intended meaning. And inaccurate word reading can lead to misinterpretations of the text. Kaya nila nami-misinterpret. Poor automaticity in word reading or slow, laborious movement through the text taxes the reader's capacity to construct an ongoing interpretation of it. And poor prosody can lead to confusion through inappropriate or meaningless grouping of words or through inappropriate applications of expressions. And with this statement from these authors, we can see now that there are developments in terms of how fluency is being defined. Okay. In fact, according to these authors and experts, Dini in 2010, Kuhn, Schwann and Flugel, Maysinger in 2010, Pikulski and Chard in 2005, Samuels in 2012, and even Topping, they already included in their definition the concept of comprehension. So for them, fluency is the ability to read text with accuracy, automaticity, prosody, and comprehension. Why? Because this definition would clearly differentiate those fluent readers who are just barking at the print without understanding totally what they read, and to those fluent readers who attend to the meaning of what they are reading. So merong itong dalawang muka. Merong mga students who are very fluent and yet they do not understand, no? Kaya nilang basahin ito ng mabilis, ng maganda, ng tama. But when you ask them what's the meaning or what they understood from what they read, baka hindi ka nila masagot. As compared to those fluent readers who can also do the same level of fluency and yet they attend to the meaning of what they are reading, and they can answer you what's the meaning of what they've read. So, syempre nandun tayo sa second aspect, dun sa pangalawang mukha. We really want our students to be fluent, but at the same time, we want them to attend to the meaning of what they are reading. And that's more comprehensive definition of fluency. And moreover, our dear participants, Jean Schall in 1987, in her stages of reading development, claimed and emphasized that the development of fluency should happen in stage 2, grades 2 and 3, roughly ages 7 and 8. Mahalaga na dapat daw at this point in time na develop na yung fluency sa mga bata. In fact, these stages 0 to 2, ito yung tinatawag nating learning to read. No? We are guiding the students to be able to learn how to read. Kaya nandyan yung mga decoding, initial reading, yung mga pre-reading, no? Para nang sa ganun, pagdating nila ng grade 3, they already have that ability, that competency, no, na kaya na nilang basahin at i-recognize ang mga words na to with accuracy, automaticity, prosody, and with comprehension as well. Because when they go to stage 3 to 5, no, ito na yung tinatawag nating reading to learn, where they are now exposed to more challenging text, especially expository text. Kasi pagdating na ng grades 4 to 6, this is what we call reading for learning the new, and they're exposed now sa mga expository text as compared sa kinder to grade 3. Karamihan dyan, they're exposed to narrative text, to stories. No? So, mas challenging siya kung hindi siya na-develop in this particular grade level. As they proceed, as they go to succeeding grade level, maapektuhan yung kanilang reading performance. Actually, there are resources, there are literature who would say na yung mga bata na hindi ma-develop ang fluency nila, that can be the cause of not reading at all. Kasi nga, there's this less level of motivation to read. Hindi nila mabasa, nahihirapan sila. So they would tend not to read at all na lang. So mahalaga na ma-develop ito. Pero tinatanong nyo siguro ngayon, teachers, so concerned lang ba ng mga teachers for preschool and grades 3 ang fluency? I know for a fact that you would agree with me that there are those students in grade 4 and beyond, no, who are still encountering and still are challenged when it comes to fluency. Meron pa rin mga estudyante na nahihirapan, and so hindi lang siya dapat concern ng mga guro in the primary level. In fact, there is a study that I encountered written by Dr. Mary Grace Girio Perez, a dissertation from the University of the Philippines, entitled A Model on the Role of Fluency in the Reading Comprehension of Filipino Bilingual Adolescents. And in her study, she found out that fluency and comprehension should be developed simultaneously among bilingual adult readers. Okay, for they are mediated by linguistic, affective, and cognitive factors. And how are we going to do it, teachers? How are we going to develop it among our students? There are actually strategies. First, the repeated readings. It will allow students to read short passages with at least 100 to 200 words orally over and over until they reached mastery. So pwede pala yung teacher said, yes, yung pag pinapabasa namin sila paulit-ulit, that can actually help them develop their reading fluency. Another one is partner reading or paired reading. This can be done in two ways. First is through human support, like what you are seeing on the picture. What we normally do is we partner or we pair a very fluent student, no, or a very fluent reader with a disfluent one, or yung mga nakaka-experience ng disfluency, so that they can actually help one another. Kasi I know for a fact that you are familiar with the idea of the zone of proximal development, where whenever a student is paired with someone that he can look up to, no, mas nare-reach nila yung kanilang potential. So human support is number one. And of course, the second one is through technology mediation. There are a lot of applications out there available online that the students can actually maximize, and us educators, we can curate them and we can have them used by our students to practice their fluency. And then the third one is through choral reading. Actually, various choral readings such as echoic or unison have positive effects on developing fluency and comprehension, according to Homan, Kelsius, and Height in 1993. And I know you are also doing this with your students whenever you enjoin them to read orally, kahit na yung iba nagsusudo reading, at least they can hear already how words should be read properly in sentences, yung proper intonation, phrasing, pausing, and even the volume, no? So it really helps. Even reader's theater. I know most of you here are very familiar with reader's theater, where the readers practice their script until prosodic reading is reached, according to Griffith and Rasinski in 2004. What is good about readers theater is that the students doesn't have to prepare their costume. All we have to do is to prepare their script and have them practice and rehearse until prosodic reading is reached. Okay, so, and there are many materials online for you to develop this, or for you to do this. And lastly, we have radio reading. It perfectly suits short selection from informational text to be read like news broadcast, katulad ng ginawa natin kanina. So kung napansin ninyo, our dear participants, yung strategy 1 hanggang strategy 4 would perfectly lend themselves to narrative texts. Yung mga stories, poems, no, yun yung mga pwedeng paulit-ulit. But if you are giving them with informational text, syempre iba yung atake. And the perfect strategy for you to make use of would be the radio reading. However, I would like also to take this opportunity to share with you an approach that you can also make use of if you really want to develop the fluency of your readers. And this is developed by Rosinski, Pada Clinic, and Stortevant in 1994. We call it Fluency Development Lesson, or FDL. This particular approach has 8 significant parts, and they are very simple for us educators to follow. It starts with this. Number 1, the teacher reads the text twice or thrice while students just follow along silently. So pakikinggan ka lang nila. Next, the teacher leads the students in brief discussion of the text. Okay? Number 3, the teacher and students read the text twice or thrice orally. So sa first, ikaw lang po, yung teacher lang po ang nagbabasa while everyone listens. For step number 3, it's already collaboration between the teacher and the student. So you read together, okay? And then for the fourth one, you divide students into groups of 3 or 2, and you ask them to practice further. Okay, and once they have reached mastery or prosodic reading, then you can ask them to perform the text that they have read before an audience. Okay, and then next, the teacher and students engage in a quick word activities, maybe some of the words that you think need to be unlocked, or the students will pick personally from the selection that you are reading. Pwede nyo itong pag-usapan, pwede nyo itong ipagamit sa sentences or i-define, gamitin sa iba't ibang konteksto so that they would have wider vocab. For number 6, the students read the passage to family members at home. So there's this aspect of home and school partnership. And lastly, the teacher would lead students in reading and celebrating their mastery of text, which can also happen the next day. Okay, so ito yung basic parts of fluency development lesson. However, as I was reading approaches and mga strategies on how to develop fluency, I encountered, so these are the basic parts, no? So modeling, discussion, multiple choral reading, paired reading, at nakita nyo, ito rin yung mga strategies na shinare ko sa inyo kanina. But as I was looking for more strategies and techniques, sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, I encountered this concept of meta-fluency by Ruel in 2012. And I was so curious about it that I encountered this definition. It says here, it's a knowledge to talk about what fluency is, the propensity or inclination to self-monitor one's own fluency, and learning how to take conscious, strategically select steps to increase one's own reading fluency. This is very similar with metacognition. If in metacognition, we are asking the students to monitor how they are understanding the text that we are reading them, it's so beautiful that we also teach students to monitor their own fluency. So nagkakaroon silang kaalaman about how they read accurately, how if they are reading too fast or too slow, and that's the beauty of metafluency. And in fact, Ruel made use of fluency instruction. He created fluency instruction out of his concept. Sabi niya, his fluency instruction should contain 3 basic parts. So teacher explanation and modeling of the elements and nature of fluent reading. So kailangan itong i-model sa mga bata. Paano ba yung reading with expression? Paano ba yung proper phrasing? Paano ba yung mga strategies on how to read accurately para wala kang ma-miss out? That's for 5 to 7 minutes. And then, of course, the biggest chunk would be devoted to guided group or individual repeated oral reading practice. So they have more time to rehearse and more time to be with one another, to correct each other, and to monitor one another's performance. And lastly, would be for group or individual assessment and progress monitoring. And that's for 2 to 3 minutes just to check whether they are progressing well or they are performing well. And by encountering all of these, it gave me an inspiration. Bakit hindi ko pagsamahin yung fluency development, yung mga positive side ng fluency development lesson? Because there are studies claiming na effective ito in developing fluency development, and at the same time, the idea of meta-fluency instruction. And it gave me that perspective, which is why I explored on this for my thesis. 2 years ago in the university, and this study is titled Developing Fluency, Metafluency, and Comprehension of Grade 4 Pupils Using Modified Fluency Development Lessons. I'll just be very, very quick. No, my framework for this study is that if I use this modified fluency development lesson, I really envisioned the students to develop their fluency, their meta-fluency, and at the same time, their comprehension. And since ito nga yung framework ng fluency development lesson, saan ko pinasok yung meta-fluency instruction? I actually made use of the first two parts for me to strongly model and for me to discuss with my students and to make them aware about meta-fluency. I discuss concepts about prosodic reading, accurate reading, and automatic reading. And at the same time, since sabi nga kanina ni Dr. Rio Perez in 2016, fluency should be side by side, be taught and developed among students. So nag-focus din ako sa comprehension activities. And for part number 4, mas nagtutok kami sa meta-fluency practice aside from just dividing them into groups. Kung ano man yung natututunan nila in the first 2 stages, dito namin siya ina-apply, which I'll be showing you very, very quickly later on. So in this study that I'd like to share with you very, very quickly, it involved 40 students in the public school system. And then since there are different parts, ito yung mga parts na ginawa namin. So I'm modeling how prosodic reading should be done, paano yung mga strategies and techniques that they can actually make use of, at minumodel ko ito sa kanila. Ang nakakatuwa, teachers, whenever you model it to them, medyo hindi sila na-excite. But pag medyo, when you model the correct way of reading, medyo hindi sila na-excite kasi napapakinggan nila yung tama. Pero there are times, no, according to Ruel, kailangan medyo babaliin mo to. Minsan, sinasadya kong magkamali, or binabasa ko siya inappropriately, tas dun sila tumatawa, no, medyo binabagalan ko, parang robot. So natatawa sila. And at the same time, pag tinanong ko sa kanila, ano yung napansin nyo kung paano ko binasa? They are more aware, no? And it grabs their attention further. Yun yung maganda naman sa stage ng modeling part na ito. And once we have already discussed some of these techniques in terms of accuracy, rate, and expression, I am now giving them more opportunities to connect with what we have read. So hindi ko sila basta binibitawan. Pagkatapos namin basahin pa ulit-ulit at minodel ko how to read, of course, I need to know whether they have understood the text. That's why I am giving them different comprehension activities per group. You know? So ito yung mga group activities na ginagawa ko sa kanila. And notice that I'm still allowing them to have their copies. Remember, these are struggling students, struggling readers. So I need to give them the structure, no, the proper and appropriate help and support so that whenever I'm giving them task, kapag naisip nila, ano nga ulit yung sa nabasa, saan ko nga bang part nakita yon, so they can go back. So there's a look back aspect for this comprehension activity. And I also allow them to share whatever they have created, whatever they have finished in the comprehension activities, and it would give them, sabi niyo kanina, more level of confidence whenever you orally present things before an audience. Okay? So after which we gather once again and we read the story once again over and over again. But another aspect of FDL which I like the most, ito na nga yung paired reading. Since naturuan ko na sila ng mga techniques every session, no, gusto ko mai-apply nila ito while they are reading or listening with one another. So I pair students up and then I ask them to read. So before ko sila pinagbasa or pinag-pair, of course, you need to model them. Ano yung dapat nilang gawin pagkatapos magbasa ng isa, ano yung gagawin mo, ano yung itatanong mo, at pagkatapos magbasa naman ng partner, ano din yung mangyari. You have to model these things for the students. So nakita nyo, no, this was back in 2019. Wala pang pandemya nito pero pre-practice na namin ng social distancing. No? Kidding aside, because I also want them to focus, baka kasi magkarinigan sila. And mas magandang ma-establish yung routine among students para mabilis yung pacing because you're just given an hour to do this every day. I was just given an hour to do this every day for 30 sessions. And fortunately, while they are reading, I was given the chance also to listen to them as they speak with one another, paano sila nag-uusap, ano yung mga pinag-uusapan nila, so that as a researcher, teacher researcher at that time, nakikita ko yung kabuuang development ng mga bata in this particular program. And then after which, I would ask them to gather based on their groupings so that they can prepare for their performance later on. And then as part 5 no of FDL, of course I asked them to do a performance. Hindi nila kailangan mag-costume pero nagpre-prepare ako ng mga simple headbands or mga props so that they would feel na performance ito that I really want when they need to give their best. And sometimes we invite their school principal, other school administrator, reading coordinators, their teachers para panoorin sila kasi mas nagbibigyan, nagbo-boost yung confidence ng mga bata if they are performing it before an audience, no? And then for the word activities, I would engage them to quick word activities where we make use of words that we encounter in the text in sentences. I provide the context at nakakatawa. Sabi ko sa mga bata, for you to remember these words, pwede sigurong kung ano yung nare-remember mo, i-drawing mo siya. For example, the snout, no? Yung nose and mouth nung pig. So ganyan yung drawing nila and even braille and so on. And then I encourage them to make use of these words in meaningful sentences para mas lalong tumatak sa kanila, and we even share sentences with one another. Ito po ay mga booklet that I provided them para meron kaming booklet where we can go back, where they can go back yung mga words na pinag-aaralan namin for word activities. And then second to the last, practice at home. Merong aspect ito ng homeschool connection which I really like because of course we need to make sure that the students are practicing at home. And ito nakakatuwa kasi whenever you ask the parents during the interview, natutuwa sila na their children are really into the program, na talagang binibigyan mong halaga ng mga bata. Kahit nga yung mga teachers nila, minsan sabi sa akin, you know what, Teacher Sid, yung mga estudyante namin during break o kaya pag wala silang ginagawa, talagang nagpa-practice sila. So hanggang sa naging kultura na ng mga bata, yung repeated oral reading. No? So yun yung napakaganda sa programang ito. And of course, the following day, we also celebrate their mastery. No? So binibigyan ko sila ng reward, binibigyan ko sila ng mga simple badges and simple reinforcements for them to start develop that love for oral reading. And that's the part that's a complete part of my study. And just to share with you very, very quickly some sample outputs ng progress nila. Before, like for example, si Romina, usong-uso kasi nito yung si Mondragon, no? So this is a pseudonym. Ganito yung pretest niya, the way she chunks words. Sabi niya, ganito siya magbasa that time as I listened to her. Sabi niya, plants and animals live in many different environments, hot, cold, wet, dry. But no matter where they live, all living things have basic needs that must be met. Any structure or behavior that helps a living thing meet those need and survive in its environment is called an adaptation. So makikita nyo that Romina is just chunking the words anywhere she wants. But when I taught them how to look at the meaningful phrases in sentences, mas nagkaroon sila ng awareness na hindi pala basta-basta pinuputol yon. Dapat nakikita nila at least 3 words, 4 words, tinitingnan nilang mabuti. At pinapractice namin ito. And so after the program, ganito na siya nagbasa during the post-test. Plants and animals live in many different environments. Hot, cold, wet, and dry. But no matter where they live, all living things have basic needs that must be met, and so on. So makikita niyo po yung progress whenever you also have your material or your tool with you. And one of the interesting things that I love about this study is being able to hear their conversation. Sabi ni Romina, nung habang nagbabasa sila, nung partner niya na si Marga, pseudonyms again, sabi nung estudyante, alligators have Hajj. Sabi ni Marga nung narinig niya yung buong pagbasa, no, nagbibigay na siya ng comment. Sabi niya, hindi yan Hajj, huge yan, no? So nagkakaroon sila ng awareness even how to pronounce words properly. Medyo sabi ko nga lang, kasi nga close na tong mga batang to, isang aspeto siguro that I really had to, given the chance to go back to this study, yung kailangan how to properly correct one another. Sabi niya, pagkatapos mabasahin ni Romina yung text, sabi niya, kumusta ba yung pagbasa ko? Sabi sa kanya ng partner niya, meron ka mga words na hindi nabasa. Itong scales at itong snake, hindi mo ito nabasa. Pati yung day, hindi mo rin nabasa. Yung lighter, hindi mo din nabasa. Ayun lang, kaya ang problema sa'yo, di mo nababasa yung mga words na iba. So sabi naman ni Romina, very positive kasi tinuturo ko sa kanila, ano yung gagawin mo when you hear the comments or feedback of your partner. Sabi niya, sige, basahin ko na lang ulit. And I even taught them the strategy of finger reading that they have to follow the text, kung medyo nami-miss out nila yung ibang mga words katulad ni Romina, then that's one of the techniques that we can teach the students. Another one, si Nestor at si Ryan, sabi niya, pagkatapos magbasa ni Nestor, anong masasabi mo sa aking pagbasa? Sabi ni Ryan, okay naman, pero dapat tuloy-tuloy ang pagbasa mo at hindi word for word. Lakasan mo lang ng konti ang volume para malinaw and read with expression. Natutuwa ako at kinikilig ako whenever I hear them saying statements such as yung volume, yung read with expressions, because these are the things that I'm teaching them. At kapag na-verbalize yun ng mga estudyante ko in this program, sobrang nakakakilig pakinggan because you know that you are instilling something to them. At sabi naman ni Nestor, sige, lakasan ko yung volume at ayusin ko rin yung phrasing in the next time. Yung comprehension aspect, sabi nga natin, we have to develop fluency side by side with their comprehension. So nakita niyo po ito in the first session yung kwento na Magnificent Benito and his two big front teeth, yung dalawang estudyante na I'd like to present to you, medyo mali pa yung spelling ng Benito. Pero sabi ko, when I ask you to I like you to describe the character, sabi niya, he is mabait, he is matalino, he is magaling. And another student said, he is ugly. Okay? So nakikita niyo yung effort nila to really answer and perform comprehension outputs kahit na word level pa lang ito. Pero nung nag-session 3 na kami, in this before and after chart, nakita nyo po medyo nag-increase na sila, nagiging phrase level na ito. Sabi nung isang bata, ang kwenta namin dito ay yung Mahaba by Genaro Cruz, Sabi niya si EJ was crying kasi ang haba-haba ng pangalan niya. But at the end, naging masaya siya. Bakit? Sabi ko, ano yung mga events that brought the change? By the way, the medium of instruction here is in English because they're transitioning from grade 3 to grade 4. Sabi nung bata, love of mother, very, very special, grandfather, ito naman, lola's name, mama's name. So makikita nyo na unti-unti naman nilang nade-develop yung kanilang comprehension. In fact, during our seventh session, when I asked them to create a summary, ang kwento naman dito ay halo-halo espesyal. Ang sabi nung estudyante ko when I asked them to create a summary, sabi niya, Jackie wanted halo-halo espesyal but she have the sick. So Lola Itang, she made the halo-halo. Then she well, say mama. So nakakakilig makita na yes, hindi pa siya ganun completely, Even may mga issues pa in terms of grammar and sentence structure, but yet there's already the understanding and yun yung mas ma-appreciate mo as the teacher or as a facilitator. Sabi naman ng isang estudyante, Jackie wanted to play outside, but she is sick. So Lola Itang visited her. Then she got well in the end. So even the erasures, makikita mo na yung mga bata talagang nagsi-self-correct sila, the spelling, yung mga gusto nilang sabihin and so on. I even gave them activities and selections na expository. So katulad nito yung kay Helen Keller. So I just asked them to do character profile. I also asked them to read other expository texts about trees and plants kasi nga grade 4 na sila. And you would see kanina word pa lang pero nade-develop na they can have no sentences. And then I asked them during the interview, nung post-interview namin, kumusta kayo sa programang itong ginawa natin, sa pag-aaral na ginawa natin. Ang sabi ni Abigail, ginamit ko na po yung daliri ko para kapag nagbabasa ako, wala na po akong makakalimutan. So yun yung technique na tumatak sa kanya. Sabi naman ni Bettina, these are pseudonyms. Napansin ko po na medyo bumilis na po akong magbasa kapag nagpa-practice po ako kasi nababasa ko na po agad yung mga words. Moving on, according to Billy, grade 4 student, sabi niya, nakatulong po sa akin yung maraming beses na pagbasa na may kapartner kasi naririnig namin kung paano po talaga nagbabasa with expression at sinasabi po ng aming partner. At lastly, si Regit, sabi niya, minsan nilalagyan ko po ng mga hati because I also taught them how to do chunking of words. Kailangan may mga phrasing, may mga slashes, no? Kagaya po nung tinuro mo sa amin, sir, sa amin para mas maintindihan ko po yung binabasa ko. And hearing all these statements, it makes me so happy na the program is really working. Kaya tuwan-tuwa talaga ako at sobrang pasalamat ko sa mga batang to dahil bukod sa naturuan ko sila, ang dami kong realizations from that experience. And by the way, lastly, teachers, just allow me to share with you a tool, no, an online tool that you can also make use of. Kanina sinabi ko sa inyo, yung paired reading, you can have your human partner and also technology mediation. So one of the tools that you can actually make use of, maybe some of you are familiar already with Epic. Epic is the leading digital reading platform for kids 12 and under, offering access to over 40,000 high-quality books for kids, learning videos, and reading quizzes. Just to share with you very, very quickly, kung ang itsura nito, very, very quickly lang, ito yung itsura ng Epic, teachers. Kapag meron kayong free lang itong account ko na ito, this is how it looks like. So maraming mga libro that are recommended. They are grouped by Lexile, there are comics and read to me, audiobooks and videos. So yung read to me, pwede kayong mamili ng mga stories, and then all you have to do is to click it, and
Daddy gave Little Bear
this is
a
a
few
sample.
eggs to break while he mixed the batter for a stack of pancakes.
So the students can just
Daddy,
follow.
Daddy, listen to me. Some shells fell into the eggs. Do you see? Daddy Bear poured the eggs, shells, and all in a skillet.
If
Then he
you
took
also
the
want to develop their listening skills, you can also go to audiobooks. You can click audiobooks, and then pwede kayong mag-click, like for example, Alice in Wonderland. So you just have to click it
Alice in Wonderland,
if you want them to just listen.
Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was getting so
And then after
very
listening, you
bored.
can ask them certain questions, what they have understood from what they have listened to. So Epic is for free. All you have to do is to sign up. So that's one of the applications you can make use of. Kaso parang kung tatanungin nyo naman ako, teachers, paano teachers said kung Filipino naman yung gusto kong i-develop, marami rin tayong mga pwedeng panoorin sa kanila. So katulad nito, yung maraming mga Filipino books na binabasa online sa YouTube. Like for example, this one, mga kwentong Tagalog, you can just like and subscribe. So you can develop your students' oral reading fluency and their comprehension as well. So with that, I would like to take this opportunity. I will not have the closure already, but I'd like to end my presentation with this statement again from Rasinski, that if a lack of reading fluency in reading is a major contributor to reading difficulty in the elementary grades and beyond, then it's just make good sense to provide student with authentic, consistent, focused, and intentional fluency instruction like what I shared with you earlier that addresses those needs. Because after all, our young Filipino readers deserve nothing less. And with that, maraming salamat po for spending your first part of the morning with me. Thank you.
Ayan, thank you so much, Professor Sid, Sir Sid. So, thank you for that valuable learnings na na-share niyo po about reading, and also for sharing the reading program na inyo pong ginawa. Actually, para sa akin po, very nostalgic siya kasi during my elementary days, I also experienced some of the practices na you shared. Pero I also gained a lot of learning sa mga tips and techniques na na-share niyo po, so na pwede naming magamit in the future as pre-service teachers. And I'm sure that naging helpful din po ito sa lahat po ng kasama natin sa dito sa Zoom and also sa mga nanonood po sa atin sa live. So,
Teacher Eliza, thank you.
ayan. So, thank you din po sa mga nakikinig po sa atin or nanonood po ngayon, you may just list down your questions para po kay Sir Sid, and we will have that po sa ating open forum. So, Teacher Johan would like to share something din po.
Ayun lang, I really enjoyed the presentation, Sir Sid. It was very comprehensive and intelligently presented. And I would even say that your enthusiasm for advocating for our young readers in terms of fluency and comprehension is really infectious. And ayun, I was really touched by the presentation, even at an emotional level.
Salamat. Thank you.
Ayan. So, I'm sure na we gained a lot from this talk. So, but that's not the end. Meron pa po tayong isang speaker. So, to introduce our second speaker, let me introduce our second speaker. All right. So Dr. Ruel T. is an Associate Professor 2 of the Philippine Normal University, Visayas. Currently, he is the Associate Dean of the Faculty of Graduate Studies in Teacher Education and Research. Prior to his current position, he was the Quality Assurance Coordinator of PNU Visayas and at the same time, the Program Coordinator of the Bachelor in English Education. Dr. Bonganciso graduated his Doctor of Philosophy in English Language at the University of San Jose, Recoletas, Cebu, Philippines. He finished his Master in Education major in English Language at the University of St. Lazare, Bacolod City, Philippines. He graduated his Bachelor in Elementary Education at St. Joseph College in Canlaon City, Philippines. As faculty of higher education institution, he is active in instruction, production, research, and extension. He also serves as an accreditor in the Accrediting Agency of Chartered Colleges and Universities in the Philippines, Incorporated. He is one of the internal auditors of Environmental Management System of PNU Visayas. Dr. Bonganciso had published research articles and book chapters in the field of humanities. So let us all welcome Dr. Ruel T. Bonganciso as he discussed computer-assisted remedial reading instruction.
Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Ruel Bonganciso of Philippine Normal University, Visayas, and today we will be talking about computer-assisted remedial reading instruction. I have to start my presentation with our objectives. The first one is I want you to explain computer-assisted remedial reading instruction. The second one is critically analyze the available online remedial reading instruction resources that suits the needs of a specific learner. And last one is familiarize on how to create self-made computer-assisted remedial reading instruction. Now, what is computer-assisted remedial reading instruction, or CARI? CARI may referred to as computer adaptive instruction or computer-mediated instruction. And CARI refers to instruction or remediation presented on a computer, which includes web-based lessons, smartphones application, and teacher-made instructions. Many educational computer programs are available online and from computer stores and textbook companies. They enhance teacher instruction, our instruction, in several ways, like using them to assist us in our remedial reading instruction. And perhaps because of pandemic, some of us, if not all, are all trained or were all trained how to develop instructional computer mediated lessons. What are the features of CARI or computer assisted remedial reading instruction? First is, it is interactive. Computers capture the students' attention because the programs are interactive and engage the students' spirit of competitiveness to increase their scores. Number two, it can illustrate the concept through attractive animation, sound, and demonstration. And third, it allows students to progress at their own pace and work individually or problem solve in a group. Computer-assisted instruction moves at the student's pace and usually does not move ahead until they have mastered the skill. Fourth is that computers provide immediate feedback, letting students know whether their answer is correct. If the answer is not correct, the program shows students how to correctly answer the question. And fourth or fifth, computers offer a different type of activity in change of pace from teacher-led or group instruction. Computer-assisted instruction improves instruction for students with disabilities because students receive immediate feedback and do not continue to practice the wrong skill. However, there are challenges of computer-assisted remedial reading instruction. First is that if computer-assisted instruction becomes the predominant form of instruction for students, it has the potential to isolate students from peer and teacher interactions that can deepen learning and provide formative socio-emotional experiences. The socio-emotional experiences of the learner will be hampered because he may be learning alone with the computer. And we all know that computers do not give human emotion that would add up to the learner's learning environment. Second is that it may be a one-size-fits-all lesson. We need to be careful in choosing computer-assisted remedial reading instruction. Though CARI can be considered individualized instruction, if not carefully chosen by the teacher, this may be given to the learners which does not fit their needs. Here are my suggested list for CARI. The first one is web-based programs. I know that there are a lot of web-based programs in the internet. I've chosen these three because I am familiar with this and I was able to use this one. The first one is you can browse the www.startfall.com. It offers a lot of activity for remedial reading program or for remedial reading instruction. The second one is YouTube lessons. There are a lot of YouTube lessons for remedial reading program in the YouTube, of course. And of course, there are a lot of smartphones application. The second one is teacher-made lessons. Using PowerPoint instruction, creating a remedial reading program through the use of PowerPoint. Another one is through the use of audiobook lessons. You can create your own audiobook lessons and then audio video lessons using PowerPoint. So here's the web-based remedial activity. This is the page of the startfall.com and it has a lot of activities and it is free. If you're going to open this one, if you're going to explore this one, and the topics here ranges from K1 to K12. So you can use this one as part of your remedial reading instruction. Startfall is an early learning website featuring interactives, games, songs, and supporting resources for reading and math. The heart of the site is its reading program, categorized into 4 sections. ABCs, which introduces letter sounds through videos and interactive games. Learn to read, which teaches some of the more common sounds through interactive games, books, and videos. It's fun to read, in which students learn to read in context, and I'm reading, in which students read short books, comics, and plays. And of course, this is the YouTube page or YouTube website where it offers a lot of videos and a lot of instructional materials. All you have to do is just type the type of lessons that you wanted to have and search it, and you can download it and you can use it as your intervention activities for your remedial reading instruction. And the smartphones also offers a lot of applications which you can use for your remedial reading instruction. So there are applications for spelling, phonemic, and vocabulary skills. And one of those is a vocabulary spelling city. Makes spelling and vocabulary learning fun with game-based learning. This website and application or app offers many free literacy resources for teachers and students. The other one is the Rocket Speller, a fun iPad application for spelling. What's great about this app is the different settings that allow you to customize the difficulty of the game and differentiate your instruction with students. And of course, the Merriam-Webster application. Sometimes you just go back to the gold standard of reference materials. Gone are the days where you are going to bring with you a pocket dictionary or a handed dictionary. Today, a lot of students, a lot of practitioners, a lot of academicians are installing Merriam-Webster dictionary in their smartphones. And I hope you have also Merriam dictionary in your smartphones. The next one is applications that focus on sentence and fluency skills of the learner. The first one is Sentence Builder by AbiTalk. AbiTalk has many free and paid education apps available for students. I encourage you to browse their website and try out a few. Sentence Builder is a favorite because it's currently the only app which allows you to fully custom build sentences with your own words and pictures. Students can then practice sentence building exactly to your specifications. The next app is Frenzy. These trivia apps make learning fun with a variety of quizzing and gaming options. What's great about Frenzy is that they offer many different apps set by grade level, which makes it simple to find the correct one for your classroom. In addition to grade-specific apps, Frenzy offers a couple apps that help with reading and spelling. Each app includes 10 different learning categories, and there are over 1,000 trivia questions in this app. Now, let's move on with the smartphone's applications that focus on reading and comprehension skills. The first one is iBooks. If you have access to iOS devices, there are thousands of free books available via iBooks. Apple Books lets you lose yourself in a good story right on your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch. You'll find classics, bestsellers, up and coming authors, and even audiobooks ready to download and enjoy. Students can also create their own ebooks with iBooks. And even in Android phones, there are a lot of ebooks applications which you can install in your smartphones. And these are very useful in the implementation of your remedial reading instruction. The next one is Storia. This app contains scholastic books, which if you have Storia in your phone, you can download the digital versions of the scholastic books in your devices. And right now, let us learn what are the teacher-made kari. How are we going to develop kari through a PowerPoint presentation? There are features of PowerPoint presentation which can be useful in designing remedial lessons. The first one is it can project animation. Second, it can record a presentation with audio. And third, it can be converted into video lessons. And fourth, it has triggers and hyperlinks that allow the user to gamify the activities. This time, allow me to present to you the output of my students in my technology and language education class. I told them to create a digital story using the PowerPoint presentation. So here it is. I'm going to play this one.
The Green Bird. There was a green bird as green as a leaf that lived in a forest. He had a tail that bobbed up and down when he sang.
In the morning when the sun comes up, the green bird would sing a lively song. And when evening comes, the green bird used to sing sweet song to say so long, so long. Little green bird grew into a mighty one and found his love. He sang to his lady love, wait, 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 come here, come here. And lady love came. They built a nest in a branch. She laid 2 green eggs. She sat all day long until, tip, 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 the birdlings hatched from the egg and popped out. The green bird and his lady love fed their chicks until they were old enough to fly. One day, Greenbird got sick, so Ladylove went out to look for food. After 2 days, Greenbird called Ladylove, but she did not come. He called again, but still nobody answered. The next day, Greenbird felt good. He flew to the tallest tree in the forest and called for his love to come, but still nobody did reply. After singing several times, he knew she would never come again. He soared into the blue sky, singing and singing to his lady love, waiting for her return.
Alright, so that's the digital storytelling activity of my students. And probably your question is, how did my students do it? So I am going to show you a video also on how to use PowerPoint presentation in creating a digital story. And I hope on how to create. Alright, this is a tutorial on how to create a digital story using PowerPoint presentation. Actually, I uploaded this one from the internet in the YouTube particularly. So I want to display this one. I have to show this one, and I hope you would be able to learn something from this. So let's play.
So you want to make an animated PowerPoint that plays like a movie? Maybe about a kitten adventure who wakes up on a rainy morning and wants to hide under the covers. Maybe about sports like pole vault or the triple jump, kayaking, or even ice hockey. Maybe about dinosaurs who are going through your hometown. I'll show you how. Own animated PowerPoint movie. You'll have to start with a new slide. Click on New Slide and choose the blank template. Then we're going to start by getting our background. In your animated PowerPoint, the background represents the setting of your story. Instead of right-clicking to format your background or even choosing a design, we're going to insert the background as a clip art. In this case, I'm going to make a slide about a horse and a farmer on the farm. So I'm actually going to search for a barn because I want my setting to be outside of a barn. This picture looks great. When I insert it, I'm going to resize it to fill the entire slide. That way, when my slide is showing, as you can see here, the only thing you'll see is that background, which is the setting. Next, I'm going to insert my characters. In this case, it's going to be a horse. I want to find one that does not have a background included in the picture. That way I can move it on top of the background that I already inserted. I like this one. I'm going to move him where I want him, and actually in my animation I'm going to have him move towards us. So I'm going to start him kind of small, and he'll get bigger as he gets closer. I'm also going to find a farmer who will be working on the farm. Each of the characters should be inserted as their own clip art, and any objects that they are using that you'll want to move separately should also be inserted separately. I'm going to make my farmer kind of small. He's working in the background. Next, we're going to add animations to give action to our characters in the story. I'm going to choose the horse and come up to the Animations tab and choose Custom Animation. We can see that the custom animation settings are over here on the right-hand side. We can add several different kinds of effects. We can add entrances. The entrances make things appear in different ways. These are really fun, especially if you are doing a fantasy story, maybe with magic. We can also have an emphasis. An emphasis leaves your character or object on the board, but makes it move or change in some way. In this case, I'm going to add the emphasis of grow and shrink to make it look like it's getting closer. Now, I don't need it to get it quite as big as it said to, so I'm going to change the size to a custom size of 125. Now you can make things get very big or get smaller as they move away. It looks like I've inserted an animation I didn't want. If you get one and you do not want to use it, you can click on it and hit delete. Next, I want to make my horse move. So I'm going to go to the effect of motion paths, and I'm going to draw a custom path with a scribble. This allows me to draw my horse going anywhere that I want him to go. Now I see that when he was moving, he actually moved behind the farmer. So I'm going to right-click on my horse and bring him to the front. Now, when I play that, we can see that he's getting bigger and he's moving. Now, I want him to move and get bigger at the same size to show that he's coming towards us. To do that, we're going to edit these animations. Right now, they both say on click, but we want them to say with previous. When I play this, now they happen at the same time and it looks like the horse is moving towards us. That's how we do our animations. Next, we're going to add text to our story. To do that, we're going to go to the Insert tab and add a text box. You could also use word art for this. You want to make sure that your font color is a color that will show up on your background. One bright summer day, a horse had an idea. He saw the farmer working in the field as usual, but thought that maybe he needed a new adventure. Once you have your text box in, we're ready to do our narration. To do that, go to the Insert tab and then go to Sound and hit Record Sound. One bright summer morning, a horse had an idea. He saw the farmer working in the field as usual, but thought that maybe he needed a new adventure. And you can see here that it says my total sound length is 12 seconds. That's very important because we want to know how long to show our slide. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to call this sound horse. Again, you can see that my sound has appeared in the animation settings over here. And I want to go ahead and do a couple of things to the formatting of those sounds. So I'm going to click on the sound and come up here to Sound Tools and Options. I want to hide the icon during my show, and I want it to change it so it plays automatically. Now we can see that it is one of the animations just like these, but right now it's set to after previous. I want to set this one also to with previous. Now when I play this, they will all happen at the same time. If you want one of the things, either your narration or any of your actions, to happen later, you can right-click and click on timing and delay that action. So in this case, I'm going to allow my words to start, my narration to start, before my animation. Now, my slide is done. Once all of your animations are set, then we're going to adjust the settings for our slide. In this case, we want our whole presentation to play like a movie. So we're going to change Advanced Slide and take off on mouse click and add automatically after. In this case, my narration was 12 seconds long, so I'm actually going to set this to 13 seconds. You may want to check and make sure all of your animations are also completed during that time. When you're all finished, it looks like this. One bright summer morning, a horse had an idea. He saw the farmer working in the field as usual, but thought that maybe he needed a new adventure. And that's the way you make an animated PowerPoint. The more slides you make, the more intricate your story. So have fun and enjoy your new project.
All right, so that's the end. And that's how are you going to use this one. That's how are you going to create your digital story. Actually, it's more on creativity. It's more on exploring the PowerPoint presentation. There are a lot of options in the PowerPoint presentation where you can use in creating your digital story. And your creation of digital story would be interesting for students because when you tell a story and when there's a visual effect, then most probably our students would have to be interested to watch the story, to hear and to listen to the story created by or narrated by his or her teacher. That in selecting NP presentation, I want you to think of this. And to end my presentation, I want you to think of this, that in selecting computer program or application for remediation, there is a need to carefully analyze the types and the content of the program or application that you are going to use in order to suit to the needs of your pupil or student. Second is that it is better to try out the computer-assisted instruction to yourself before it will be given to the students. And always ask help from persons who are knowledgeable in computer. And lastly, never stop learning for any techniques in helping your pupils or students to develop their reading skills. And that would be all for today. Thank you so much and have a nice day, everyone.